This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Tuesday, January 28th. I'm Ephraim Graham. Thank you so much for joining us. Ahead today, President Donald Trump unveiling his long-awaited Middle East peace plan at the White House. We're going to get the reaction from Jerusalem. They're a big presence on the internet now, a diamond and silk calling out Planned Parenthood. We'll take a look. With Super Bowl Sunday coming up, we're going to hear some churches can use it as a tool to help spread the gospel. And Dolly Parton and For King and Country win a Grammy Award. All those stories and much more ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We begin this half hour with President Donald Trump, who will unveil his deal of the century for a Middle East peace plan today at noon at the White House. As Chris Mitchell now reports from Jerusalem, the president hopes his peace plan will succeed where all others have failed.
President Trump, who's known for his book, The Art of the Deal, said it's the hardest deal of all.
I think it's a fantastic thing if we can pull it off. They say it's probably the most difficult deal anywhere and of any kind to make. In the business world, when I was back in the business world, when the deal was tough, people would jokingly refer to it as this is tougher than Israel and the Palestinians getting together. And that's what I've heard all my life. And so we'll see what happens. We have something that makes a lot of sense for everybody.
Trump met separately with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and blue and white leader Benny Gantz on Monday, who both praised the plan.
I just want to say two things. First, that the deal of the century is the opportunity of the century, and we're not going to pass it by.
The president's peace plan is a significant and historic milestone indeed. Immediately after the election, I will work towards implementing it from within a stable, functioning Israeli government in tandem with the other countries in our region.
Yet even before the plan has been released, Palestinian leaders rejected it.
This deal, which is not based on international legality or international law, also gives Israel all what it wants at the expense of the national rights of the Palestinian people.
Once the plan is released, it promises to have a major impact on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, Israel's upcoming national elections on March 2nd, and Israel's relationship with its Sunni Islamic Arab neighbors.
And our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, what kind of reaction are you hearing as both Palestinians and Israelis based on what we know about his plan before its actual unveiling?
Well, it's a good point. First of all, Ephraim, we haven't heard the plan. In fact, I was talking to an evangelical leader in the United States right now. He doesn't know the plan. He's going to be in the room there at noon, 7 o'clock here. I've been talking to Israelis in Judea and Samaria. Some of them think this is a lifetime, an opportunity of a lifetime, because there'll be some sovereignty over many of these places in the biblical heartland of Israel. But there are others who are concerned about a possibility of establishing a Palestinian state. And for them, this would be something they really couldn't reverse, if the Palestinians do get their own state. But many Palestinians, Ephraim, they're on the ground. They're afraid to speak out against the Palestinian Authority. Really, they cannot speak out, perhaps their mind, what they really want, what they really believe, lest the Palestinian Authority would have retribution against them. There's a meeting tonight, right now, 7 o'clock, the same time when the White House is going to have their unveiling. The Palestinian Authority is going to have an emergency meeting. And what's notable is they've invited Hamas. This is a group that's dedicated to the destruction of Israel. They have called for a day of rage. Right now, there's kind of a muted reaction. And actually, some of these Palestinian leaders are afraid that what might happen in Ramallah or other places in the Palestinian areas, that might be the same thing that's been happening in Iraq and Lebanon, people demonstrating against the Palestinian Authority. That's a fear many have. And one last thing, Ephraim, I think evangelical leaders, that's very critical how they're going to respond. Many haven't seen the plan yet, as I mentioned, and if it's going to call for a Palestinian state, that might be something hard for President Trump politically.
We know elections there are a little more than a month away. What are the political challenges for both Prime Minister Netanyahu and the blue and white leader, Benny Gantz?
Well, Ephraim, I'd say they both have a balancing act right now. For Netanyahu, he needs to be careful he doesn't lose support from his right wing in agreeing to a Palestinian state, however truncated and however it's maybe a demilitarized Palestinian state. On the other hand, Gantz needs to be careful he doesn't lose his left-wing support. They've also, as that story has said, both of them have praised this plan, but they're going to have a balancing act when they come. Elections are about 5 weeks away, and both of them need the support from their bases.
Prime Minister Netanyahu waived immunity from prosecution on 3 separate corruption charges. Tell us what impact this will have.
Well, Ephraim, it's had an impact in the last few minutes. Israel's Attorney General has already indicted Netanyahu. Those indictments have been pending for several weeks because the Attorney General didn't know if he was going to be granted immunity by the Knesset. The Knesset had a committee that was going to vote on that. It was likely going to vote that he did not get immunity. So preemptively, Netanyahu said, well, he wasn't going to waive any immunity. So right now, he's going to be facing a trial. And that's going to make it easier for his political opponents in the next several weeks before the March 2nd elections to go ahead and attack Netanyahu, say, you know, he's going to be defending himself. How can he defend the state of Israel?
Turning back to the president's deal, while the deal is about to be revealed, tell us about what you're hearing about the gospel in Palestinian areas.
Well, you know, that's one thing, the geopolitics is this is a major day in the geopolitics of the region and the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But on the ground, I'm hearing that there are Palestinians right now that are really hungry for the gospel. I was talking to a Christian worker today. He was saying that really the hunger is palpable for many of these people. So I think overarching all this, it's very important for people to be praying for both Israelis and Palestinians during this pivotal time, and for these gospel workers in areas of the Palestinians to have that fruitfulness they're praying for, these fields that right now are white unto harvest.
Indeed. Chris Mitchell reporting for us from Israel. Thank you so much, Chris. I want to turn now to the expanding coronavirus. The death toll in China has risen by 25 to at least 106, including the first death in the capital city of Beijing. Now, this comes as the U.S. and other governments are preparing to fly their citizens out of the city of Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak. The U.S. consulate plans to fly its diplomats and some other Americans out of the city tomorrow, and they'll be screened at a stopover in Alaska. U.S. health officials are recommending people avoid non-essential travel to any part of China. So far, the new coronavirus doesn't seem to spread as easily among people as the flu or SARS. Most of the cases that spread between people were among family members or healthcare workers who had contact with their patients. Turning now to the Senate impeachment trial, President Trump's legal team said the commander-in-chief was acting under his constitutional and legal authority, adding asking a foreign leader to get to the bottom of corruption is not breaking the law. The president's attorneys argue the Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma paid Hunter Biden millions of dollars to serve on its board, even though he had no experience in the industry. However, reports former National Security Advisor John Bolton's upcoming book claim the president said he wanted to hold up aid to Ukraine to pressure an investigation into the Bidens cutting into the defense's case.
I haven't seen a manuscript, but I can tell you nothing was ever said to John Bolton, but I have not seen a manuscript.
Nothing in the Bolton revelations, even if true, would rise to the level of an abuse of power or an impeachable offense.
The allegations gave Democrats renewed energy to call for witnesses. There are reports the GOP leaders are receptive to a suggestion by Republican Senator Pat Toomey to allow one prosecution witness for one defense witness. The question on witnesses could be decided later this week. With less than a week to go before the Iowa caucuses, socialist candidate Bernie Sanders appears to be gaining momentum in the Hawkeye state. Sanders is exuding confidence in his ability to win in Iowa, and that's creating problems for his more moderate rivals like Vice President Joe Biden about how to take on Sanders directly. Many Democrats worry if Sanders gets the party's nomination, he won't be able to beat President Donald Trump in the general election. Sanders is also leading in New Hampshire. A new poll shows him with 29%, followed by Biden at 22%. Elizabeth Warren stands at 16%, and Pete Buttigieg at 10%. Super Bowl 54 kicks off this weekend, and the Kansas City Chiefs will face the San Francisco 49ers. It is the first time these teams will meet in the big game. CBN's The Prayer Link recently spoke with a former ESPN producer about how churches can use the game as a tool to promote the gospel.
What they are is, like I said, a sermon replacement to bring Jesus into the conversation through the lens of football. And what we do is we present stories from NFL players, Super Bowl winning players, telling us how God has moved profoundly in their lives. So we feature this year Benjamin Watson from the New England Patriots and Nate Solder from the New York Giants and Prince Amukamara from the Chicago Bears. And they're just telling their story of how God and Jesus have done amazing things through their journey of both football, but even more in life.
Now, if you want your church to take part in Football Sunday, visit footballsunday.com. And you can catch Prayer Link tonight on the CBN News Channel. It begins this evening at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Coming up, two well-known online personalities and influencers, Diamond and Silk, are calling out Planned Parenthood because they say it's trying to, quote, eliminate and get rid of black babies. We're going to hear about that when we come back.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
Two well-known vloggers and influencers, Diamond and Silk, are calling out Planned Parenthood for what they say is an effort to, quote, eliminate and get rid of black babies. Our Mark Martin spoke with radio host Todd Starnes about the story.
Todd, you spoke with the two vloggers recently, and they say they're declaring war on Planned Parenthood. What's that all about?
Yeah, and if I was Planned Parenthood, I'd be very, very alarmed. You don't want to have Diamond and Silk on your bad side. This is a big deal. Diamond and Silk have a massive following, not just in the African-American community, but nationwide. And they've done their research. They've done their studies and investigation here, and they determined, as many of us have, that Planned Parenthood had pretty nefarious roots. This was all about targeting the black community and aborting black babies. And Diamond and Silk have done a really terrific job of shining a spotlight on the true ugly heritage of Planned Parenthood. During the March for Life weekend, they held an incredible gathering at Trump International Hotel where they are calling together people from all different backgrounds to stand up and fight back when it comes to Planned Parenthood, and telling the story of how Planned Parenthood has had such a terrible negative influence on the black community here in America.
What did they say that most Americans may not know regarding Planned Parenthood and the African American community? Give us a little bit more about the history, some more of those details.
Well, as Diamond and Silk shared on my radio program, the founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, used Planned Parenthood to control the black population. That's pretty much all you need to know about the foundings of Planned Parenthood. And so Diamond and Silk are shining a very bright spotlight on this and letting people know that this is an organization that was rooted in racism, and not just racism, but the culture of death. And I really do appreciate what Diamond and Silk are doing, because they're getting out there and they're bringing to light a very controversial issue. Look, Planned Parenthood's very powerful. They have tens of millions of dollars. They're spending that money to attack President Trump. Why is it they're spending that money to attack President Trump? Well, it's because President Trump is fighting to defund Planned Parenthood. That's the reason why here. So my hat's off to Diamond and Silk, and I suspect we're going to see more African Americans join the cause as we all begin to understand what Planned Parenthood was really all about.
We have the history, but what about now? What did they tell you to support what they believe is still happening today?
Yeah, look, that's the big issue, is getting out there and educating the population. Unfortunately, Planned Parenthood are very engaged in our public schools, and they are indoctrinating our kids. And so folks like Diamond and Silk are getting out there and really speaking truth to the culture in a very, very simple, plain-spoken way, but it's very, very effective. And so I appreciate what they're doing. And quite frankly, I think many more pro-lifers need to get out there and start speaking out about what Planned Parenthood is really all about and getting off that Democrat plantation. That's the message of Diamond and Silk, and that ought to be the message for all of us.
Do you think that they're going to get a positive response to their efforts?
Absolutely not. Look, no, not within the pro-abortion movement at all. But among pro-lifers, I think this is just another example of how this is not a white issue. This is not a black issue. This is an issue about humanity. And that's the message Diamond and Silk are bringing to the country right now. And I really hope that people jump on board that bandwagon. And who knows what's going to happen, but I suspect the Democrats are very, very concerned about this president getting more picks on the Supreme Court. If that's the case, and if the president is able to put more people on that the highest court in the land, I believe it's going to be a great day for pro-lifers and the unborn.
All right, Todd Starnes, thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Still ahead on the lighter side, if you're like millions of Americans, you're getting ready for Super Bowl Sunday, and that means having plenty of food on hand. We're going to hear from celebrity chef Ellie Krieger about how to keep those snacks healthy as well as cheap and fast. That's some good news. Stay with us right after this.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Get Protect Your Sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
It is Super Bowl Sunday, and if you're looking for festive foods for the big game that are healthy, cheap, and fast, our health reporter Lori Johnson interviewed celebrity chef Ellie Krieger about what's on the game day menu.
So now you're going to be showing us how to make these phenomenal nachos. And again, my favorite part about them is they're healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Healthy, but also really decadent. So I want both of those things. So one of the things that I do to make it healthy is I use potatoes instead of chips, right? Okay. Typically nachos are made with like greasy fried chips. Yeah. But here I just slice potatoes and roast them on the pan. So it's all happening on one sheet pan. I roast them on the pan, and then once they're crisped, I kind of just move them together like this to pile them up. And now, making it a complete meal, I use beans. So there's a can of pinto beans, or really any kind of small red bean you want. And then I just,
those are cheap.
Yeah, it's
very economical.
It really is. And then I just put some garlic. I spice those up because we want a lot of flavor, right? Some chili powder. Cumin, coriander. I don't know if you want to put some of that salt in here too.
Sure. So these are the Mexican ingredients, the cumin and the coriander.
Yeah, and the chili powder too.
In their spice cabinet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are kind of, to me, the essential basics. So then I pour that on top, and so then you're getting lots of protein in this meal. So
now, for people who don't like beans, you can substitute meat,
You could do ground beef, absolutely, here. So, and then that's a meaty meal. But, or you could do ground turkey. That would be nice too. Yeah. And then I just use cheese. So cheese, I see food as usually, sometimes, and rarely. So I make most of my dishes full of the usually foods, full of vegetables, fruits, lean proteins. And ingredients like cheese, I use in minimum amounts for maximum impact. So you want the melty cheese on there, but you just don't have to use a ton of it, you know? So there's two kinds of cheese, and what happens is this goes in the oven for the cheese to melt, and I have one in there. I'm going to pull it out.
So it's not really going to take very long for all this stuff to melt. I mean, we're talking about 5 minutes or so, right?
Yeah, about roughly 7.
All right. Oh, there's the finished product.
Gorgeous,
so
right?
Good.
Well, this is only step 1 of the gorgeousness.
Oh.
Okay, so then on top of here, you add some more lovely bright toppings. So I put avocado.
My favorite food.
Is it?
It's becoming my favorite food. It's just the perfect food. It's that healthy fat.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just adds so much to make this a complete meal. And what you can do also is you can serve this for 4 as a complete meal, or you can serve it for a party. I mean, this is something fun to dig into on game day.
Yes, Super Bowl. And you know, I mean, I love the fact that these are potatoes. Now, do you use white potatoes in place of the chips?
Yeah, regular potato. Any kind of potatoes will really work. Yukon Gold, russets would work for this. And then I do some yogurt for some creaminess. And look how gorgeous this is.
Yogurt in place of sour cream?
Yes.
Okay, that's healthier.
Exactly.
But is it as good?
I think so. Well, I use the really nice, thick Greek yogurt.
Oh, okay.
And that makes a really big difference.
Okay, that's good to know. So I've never really been brave enough to substitute yogurt for sour cream.
Oh, you should try it. But anyway, even if you want a little sour cream, it's just a little anyway. So being careful not to burn ourselves, we can actually dig in. But this is the 1 sheet pan potato nachos, and they're so good. And you know you wish you were here eating them with us. I wish you were too.
Amazing. I'm going to try this yogurt to see how it compares to sour cream.
So good.
All right. Oh, this is so good. Can't tell the difference.
It does the trick, right?
So once again, the title is Whole in One, play on words, because you can make a whole dish, no, a whole meal, not a whole dish, a whole meal in one container, one vessel, as you say.
Sheet pan, pot, or skillet.
Sheet pan, pot, or skillet. And these are all extremely nutritious and also pretty fast and also economical. I mean, what more could you want, right?
Exactly. It's all there. It's a hole in one.
Now you can see more delicious and nutritious meals by tuning in this evening to Healthy Living. It begins at 9:30 Eastern. Of course, you can find it on the CBN News Channel. And coming up, a big win for Dolly Parton and for King and Country at the Grammy Awards on Sunday night. We're going to see that story when we come back.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is. This is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
By sharing their knowledge.
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
And their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
Check out the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast each weekday with me, Caitlin Burke. Click on the show tab at cbnnews.com where you can listen and subscribe.
Some big news in Christian music at the Grammy Awards Sunday night as country music legend Dolly Parton won her 9th Grammy Award for her collaboration with the Grammy Award-winning Christian band For King and Country. It was for their single God Only Knows. They're seen here performing that song at the Country Music Awards. That was back in November. Dolly and For King and Country won the Grammy Sunday in the category for Best Contemporary Christian Music Performance and Song. Right now, time for your Tuesday Tweetable. It's a message I hope will touch you and move you to post tag, tweet, and share it with those in your circle. Consider this: when God is in your life, there are no losses, only lessons. And every lesson, every single one of them, leads you closer to your purpose. With that word, I encourage you to make today a terrific Tuesday and make the rest of the week a wonderful one. You've got everything you need to do just that. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. Remember, you can always find more of our CBN News programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. And you can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We would love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can email us. That email address is newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We certainly hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make it a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you right back here same time tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless.